Yeah, we here with another one. Make some noise. Woo!
Woo!
All right, y'all see what the fucking title is? Yet again, I don't know what episode we're on. We're almost at 100, probably like 96 or some shit. I'm saying
hmm
96, 97, somewhere in there. I'm gonna have to update all these shits. I am journalist KTL. Who the fuck we got in the building?
we got a Boston Globe reporter F Dub. We in this bitch once again with another movie review.
You know, this week's movie was 2015 Spotlight. You see the names. We trying to get to the bottom of some corruption through journalistic approaches and whatnot, and we finna find out if there are really monsters among us. Uh, F Dub, tell us about why you picked the movie and tell us what it's about.
Gotcha. All right. So 2015's Spotlight. As I mentioned in the last episode, I had four choices, and this one sounded the most well, not to say interesting or whatever, but because I really like before watching this movie, I really didn't hear too much about it, except that it had a star-studded cast and it was one of them ones in 2015. You feel me? Like this movie actually got nominated for quite a few awards and whatnot. Not sure which ones they won though, so just correct me. You know, what I mean, just giving y'all a heads up on that. But so with that, and then I also heard like from word of mouth about this movie a little bit, mainly for the performance of the cast. Um, but I didn't hear too much about the story or what it entailed. And yeah, now when we found when we finally found out what this movie was about,
Yeah, I ain't
yeah,
gonna lie, brother. They was kind of
yeah.
on your ass, man. They said, man, F Dub said this the most interesting shit he could think of. Like,
Yeah, the subject matter in this movie was kind of it was I'm not gonna lie to you, it was definitely a tough watch. But to tell y'all real briefly what this is about. This is about the Boston Globe, most notably the a small little section or subgroup inside the Boston Globe. Four reporters known as Spotlight, where they they're the niggas of that of the Boston Globe essentially. They drop some heavy hitting news and articles and whatnot. They really go after the story, if you will. You feel me? Um, Hard workers, all that. They get down to the nitty gritty, all that, and they get tipped off about a story that was covered, but not very well regarding a priest. I forgot what his name was, but a priest that was involved in some Jesus Christ, some heinous
Buddy was out
nefarious
here
acts.
diddling, man. Buddy was
Yeah,
out here diddling like a motherfucker, man.
that that kind of stuff. And the story or his charges weren't necessarily public or yeah, his case wasn't necessarily public, so it didn't necessarily reach the masses per se. So that story got buried, never to be properly discussed to the public and whatnot. So they're tipped off about this story once again by this lawyer, I believe. Lawyer? He's a lawyer, right? The dude that tipped them off about this.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. About to say
Yeah.
he. I mean, he's like trying cases and whatnot. So at the very, least he's a legal aid of some sort. But
Yeah.
he's got like a pretty decent law practice. So I
Yeah. So
assume
see,
he's a prosecutor. Why not say that like that? I assume he's a prosecutor and not a defense lawyer because he's helping these families. Try to press charges on the people who have wronged them.
most definitely.
But
And he tips the group off or yeah, he tips the group off to go ahead and try covering the story again. Um so that way it can reach a larger audience and a large masses and whatnot, to make an impact and whatnot.
because
Because some
realistically speaking, and that's like a good theme of this movie, is that oftentimes legal proceedings aren't the definitive answer to solving a problem of corruption or a problem of wrongdoing. You can be tried in a court of law and be found innocent or be settled out of court or whatever, and the consequences that people perceive that a motherfucker should suffer do not exactly go according to plan. So you need to take to journalism and the court of public opinion and whatnot, which back then it was in like 2003 or so. Well, it was in 2001 actually, I believe,
Yeah,
because they had
yeah.
just had
The
9/11.
Yep,
So
yep.
back then, newspapers, like the internet was it was just the advent of the internet, where like people were starting to like get on there. So newspapers were still the big thing, and this being Boston, it would be one of the biggest news outlets in the world. So the idea there is that, okay, we tried taking this through the proper channels and it didn't work how it should. Now we're going to turn the court of public opinion on, these people. And the people just so happen to be the organization of the Catholic Church within the Boston and, greater Massachusetts area, or New
Hmm.
England, let's say. Uh, is there anything else you wanted to address about this?
I'll discuss a little bit more of the story. So, we throughout the whole movie, we see the Spotlight's group journey to find evidence, talk to victims, even talk to some of
And
the priests.
perpetrators, yeah.
Yeah, and perpetrators themselves. That scene was kind of crazy. I'm not gonna hold you. Um, and they work hard to and also uncover some wild documents that essentially will cover will get them the story that they're looking
And
for.
they uncover things that are related to them as well. Like it's really along the way, it's also a journey of like self-discovery for each character about different things about themselves, and I think we can address that here in a little bit.
And
But
people that they were involved with too.
mhm.
Yeah, so
But
there's that.
the it's a pretty star-studded cast, man. I don't know about as much for 2015, probably so. Mark Ruffalo was definitely the Hulk by that point, but he's a returning guest on this podcast. He was in Silver Linings Play or not Silver Linings Playbook, Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. So salute to Mark Ruffalo back in this bitch. I think that he did a really good job. Like to me, he felt like the main character throughout. Like the main reporter, in my opinion. I felt like he was the one most like conducive to finding the story, and like it was a lot about like his personal journey throughout. You also had Michael Keaton of fame being in Batman. Several times he was also in the Flash movie as Batman. But he's got several things under his belt. Speaking in terms of acting, uh, he's kind of like the de facto leader of the group, basically. And I think that that comes across throughout. He makes some decisions that he believes are for the betterment of the group, and some work out and some don't, and we find out about that later.
Oh yeah,
um,
down yeah towards the end of the film. But Michael Keaton's character, his name is Robbie. He's essentially the editor of the Spotlight investigative team. So
hmm
we
and
also get Lee Schreiber too, who played Beast in the X-Men Origins
which one
Wolverine.
was that? Was that the oh, that was
Baron.
yeah, and he also he played Sabretooth, I believe, also in the Wolverine shit.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm
Um,
sorry. I'm sorry about pardon me. I said Beast. I meant Sabretooth. I'm sorry about that.
yeah, and
Yeah,
but I've
yeah.
seen him in a few things. I couldn't remember his name. I remember like I was watching this with my girl, and I think his name is Liam or something. But I've like yeah, but I've seen him in a few things. That like I think that he turned in a very good performance. He's kind of like the objective kind of they're out there doing the groundwork and whatnot, and he kind of makes the big decisions and whatnot, and kind of like has the cooler head to prevail generally. Overall, with everything, I feel like.
Yeah, he's the
Uh,
he's the one that initiated like this whole thing too. You know what I'm saying? Like he's the one that brought up the how the story was first buried early.
in the beginning of the movie,
Yeah.
he's stepping into
Yeah.
a new position as well. Like he's coming into be the lead at this this place that he's not familiar with, and so they're trying to figure out what kind of a boss he is. So he's essentially trying to prove himself as well, and he sees a big opportunity with this type of a story. He is very adamant that they pursue it because at first, Robbie, Michael Keaton's character, he's, like they're working on, I can't even remember what it was, but he was like, yeah, we're working on, this whatever story. He was like, well, could you focus on this one? He's like, yeah, I guess so. And that's what kind of like leads to it. Um, Rachel McAdams is in this bitch. Rachel McAdams of fame from The Notebook, from Doctor Strange. You know, uh,
Superman as well.
yeah, shouts to Rachel McAdams, and a lot of people's top five white women. Um, Shouts to her. Uh, I think that she is the like she does a lot of like really good and clean shit in this movie, but I think that she is the character. Well, not the character that I cared the least about. That was that other guy, whoever that fucking other guy was. I didn't give a shit about him, but like she
Oh,
gets
you're
the
talking
least
about
character development.
the
Whoever
dude.
that old dude is, that dickhead that was just kind of like getting in the way of everything, but he's still a
Oh
part
yeah,
of the
him.
team.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, what the fuck? Like this dude, like I don't know, man. Like I say, part of this movie is like a mystery. Like they lead you on throughout this movie with like breadcrumbs of like, oh, okay, well this story has already been like the facts to this story already exist within their organization, but it was buried, in some capacity. Who was it, and for what reason and whatever. And I'm not gonna lie, for like a good amount of the movie, I can't even remember bro name, but like I thought that it was him. Like I thought because he goes and he talks to Mark Ruffalo character, and he's sitting there like talking to him about some shit, and he's basically telling him to like let it go. And then he gets questioned about like, hey, supposedly we got like these files and whatever, that the attorney sent over, and he's like telling him, nah, like we didn't lose nothing, fuck off. I'm like, oh, this motherfucker's shady, man. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah. His character name was Ben. It wasn't like his name wasn't really said too much throughout the
who is
film.
the
So
actor?
it's a John Slattery. Yep, yep,
Damn, I don't know
yep.
what happened with that shit. Like my shit, I'm serious. Like my shit, y'all heard it's John, and the shit just fucking tripped out. But
It's John Slattery.
yeah. So I mean, like, salute to him. I mean, if the intention of his character was to be, misleading and just kind of like an underlying piece of shit, like I can't point to too much. I guess like in the end, he was a part of the team and was helping do work, but I never really got to see him do no real detective work of nothing. You know what I'm saying? I like he just was kind of in the way, and I was like, what the fuck? Like what are you doing here, man?
Bitching and complaining too. Like that. Yeah, and I agree with you, bro. He was like my least favorite character out of the whole group. Like yeah, he was just there for real, for real.
But I think all the main characters portrayed like really like they turned in really solid performances. Like I say, the attorney, he even turned in like a good performance and whatnot, where like he's got like he wants to he's putting them onto the story, but he's also sitting there like telling like leaving this trail of breadcrumbs and like hesitant to give information, just like the rest of these folks. There's a couple of attorneys, and then there's victims and whatnot, and everybody's saying like, bro, we came to y'all with this shit, and y'all fucked off the story last time. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not finna. Why am I gonna help you again? The same shit is gonna happen. The main victim, I can't remember what his name was. I think it was like James or something, but like he came with a box of evidence and whatnot.
I,
And
I
he
thought it
had
was
like
like I thought it was a Phil. I thought that was his
it
name.
might have been like I say. I I wasn't good with names in this movie. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was paying attention, but like I just don't feel like the names and whatnot were put out that well for me. I mean, I knew who was who, but like I didn't know the names of these people. But yeah, he comes with a box of evidence. He's got fucking books written and letters and shit. They've got whole books that they find later where it shows what priest was assigned to what parish through different years and shit. And like it's really like I'm gonna say this now, because I was gonna say it later.
Hmm.
This is like one of the most boring fucking premises of a movie. Like this is just like you tell me some shit like this, I don't want to watch no shit like this for 2 fucking hours, bro. This shit is a snooze fest. But they did like a really good job of telling this boring fucking story in like a really interesting way. I feel like, like the different things that they keep you, like keep your attention through the different clues being revealed, and you're kind of like playing a guessing game almost, like as in as if it was a detective story of some kind or whatever. Like you are on a journey with these folks and trying to figure this out, and especially with the tough subject matter, like to handle it in such a way that does not feel exploitative to the victims and does not feel like just a like gross misrepresentation of sexual abuse or an attack on like religious faith. Because like at the end of the day, like this movie, they talk about like all the fucked up things in the Catholic Church and whatnot, specifically in New England. But beyond that, it's like they talk about like during the end credits where it's all over the world and shit, but it doesn't feel like an attack on religion itself. It feels like an attack on the establishment, because all the characters in there, they're like, yes, I'm, at least formerly Catholic or lapsed Catholic and whatnot. Like, this is a very common thing for people to be, and they don't hate, like, it's not like, oh, I hate God and like these folks. It's like, hey, there's some evil motherfuckers working here, and there's some more evil motherfuckers like protecting this shit, you know? So,
Yeah,
like I say,
most definitely.
I feel like that's how I feel about it. But there's some specific scenes we can talk about. Like I say, you wanted to talk about one scene in particular. I'm gonna let you have the floor on that one. But then we'll
Um,
get to some of the other shit.
all right. So, in one scene in particular, Rachel McAdams. Well, they're doing the groundwork. They're getting to it. You feel me? They
There's
find
a
like a list of.
montage of them talking to a bunch of victims and shit.
Yep, yep. They
One
find like
some of them even
a
cuss
whole
him out and
list.
shit. They ran a
Oh yeah,
motherfucker off.
that part was kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie to you.
He
That
says,
it
"Straight
was
up,
like.
yeah, everything's good." It's like, oh, the men, they're doing some great shit. Then one guy's like, "Hey, get the fuck out of here! Don't talk to my brother again, you piece of shit!" Like,
That part was kind of funny though, because like the movie was like super duper serious. You feel me? There was like no, you know what I mean? There was definitely no comedy factors or anything like that. Not that there should be. You feel me? With with them covering like a serious topic like this and whatnot, right? But like you kind of need that like in a sense because this movie is just straight,
yeah,
plot straight. Just it's dense, man. It's dense
and this
for real,
is
for
some
real.
heavy subject matter. You got to give like
Yeah.
the chance to decompress a few times.
Yeah, yeah, because this shit was on go for real, for real. And the scene I was in particularly trying to discuss, well, not trying to, but just trying to highlight. They visited or Rachel McAdams' character visited like I don't know what he was, like a pope,
A
a priest,
former priest.
a former priest, whatever the hell he was, but he she questioned him about like certain allegations, with some very young men of the age of 12 to 13 or something along the lines of that. And that dude just flat out said, "Yes, I did it." But I didn't get no he said
Yeah,
that
like he
he
that was his continuous justification. He was like, "You need to understand, I'm not a rapist. I'm a rape victim." He was like, I'm like, I did all this stuff, but I didn't get any gratification out of it. And like the idea is like, okay, but then like, why did you do it? And I really like pause or whatever. But like, I wish that they expounded upon that plot line, because that old bitch ran her off, trying to talk to her brother and shit. Because I guess she felt like he wasn't mentally, capable to talk to the press, and like he was going to incriminate himself. But I was hoping that that was a plot line they would further, like, because monsters create monsters is such a fucking a trope that we've explored, so many times through this podcast. We really just talked about on the Terrifier episode, but the idea here is that hurt people in the way that like it is not an excuse for somebody to do such a heinous act of fuckery upon someone, especially
yeah.
someone who is entrusted in their care, and like looks to them to be a an inspiration, or a role model, and then you perpetuate this upon them. But a lot of this shit is systemic. It stems from shit happening to people, and then they grow up all fucked up, and they do some more shit. It's a system of violence and whatnot. And I was hoping that we would get to find out more about this, and like at least get a story to where it's not like a justification, but you see like a character motivation and a character develop a villain origin story basically.
Yeah, and
Um,
unfortunately, we really didn't get that throughout the well, we just got that little highlight in in the film, but yeah, it didn't really lead up to that towards the end. It just yeah, I mean, it kind of they just published the story and their telephones start booming.
but yeah, like that scene was really really dope. I think another one for me, like I say, they're sitting out like they have the scene where Mark Ruffalo and like a couple of them are in the fucking they're in the courtroom, and the attorney is in the middle of trying a case. I believe it was related, to the church and whatnot, where like they're basically suing the church. That's how that works, and they got on that attorney ass low key. Like they were trying to talk crazy about him and shit. So he's out there on a bench eating his lunch and whatnot, and Buddy comes up to him and he's like, "Hey, that was some dirty tactics." Where he was like, "Yeah, this is how it goes," and he was like, they get to strike up a conversation. He basically says, like, "I had these fuckers nailed to the wall, 5 years ago or whatever the case may be." Uh, he was like, I had all these damning letters and evidence and whatnot, and I was able to, like he was basically playing 3D chess with them folks, bro. Like motherfuckers was out there, they were trying to like hide some documents and shit, but he was, just moving the pawns around the board. And then they fucked up at one point and filed some type of injunction where he was like, all right, now I can make all this shit public record again, and anybody can get their hands on this shit. And I think that was like a great moment. First off, like showing the cleverness of the attorney, but also like it's the turning point where like, hey, I think that I'm going to have to I'm gonna have to do this again. Like we can do this shit again, and it's going to make or break our case. You know,
Hmm.
and I think that was like really dope. But you also find out that the church holds so much power over there that they would be able to like make documents that are public record disappear from a courthouse. And that just highlights the influence and the effect that religion has within our society that I think is often overlooked. Like there's a whole lot of bullshit politics and whatnot. Politicians of all kinds, they make some fuckery happen, but religious establishments with enough power also do the same thing. And people don't think about it, don't bat an eye because of how they're perceived morally.
Yeah,
Um,
I
but yeah,
definitely agree.
I thought that was a dope ass scene personally.
Yeah, Stanley Tucci, the character that played that attorney, Mitchell Garabian, who was the dude that was mainly in contact with Mark Ruffalo's character. Yeah, he man, he was playing his role, man, for real throughout this film.
I
For
feel
real. He
like
was
I've heard that name in some other shit. Like he's probably been in some shit that I've seen. But yeah, like he was really good in his role. Another scene is like basically at the end of the movie. They they have all of their evidence and whatnot. And they don't want to well, let me go a little bit before that. Mark Ruffalo comes with the damning evidence and whatnot. He has the documents and whatnot, and there he's like, all right, this is it, we got to go to the story. We got to like print this story now. It's time, because if we don't, then somebody else is gonna fuck up
the
the
story
evidence in the article and whatnot.
and it's gonna get buried
and
again.
and Michael Keaton sitting there, and I didn't fuck with that shit. He was sitting there trying to say like, no, we gotta wait and this and that. And I was really on Mark Ruffalo's side, man. Like I was like, no, like y'all got to. He was like, no, we got to take down the establishment, and the only way we do this is to do this and that and whatever. And I don't know, man. I was like, I don't know. I think y'all ought to like go ahead and put this shit out. Like, they need to know that you can use these fucking letters and all this shit, because there's letters basically admitting that families, told the establishment what was happening, and through the correspondence, like it's very clear that they knew, what was going on in their organization.
Yeah.
But like I say, so they do all that shit, and I think that was a good scene where like you can kind of see the tempers flaring, because multiple people disagree. You've seen like little breadcrumbs along the way that are weird. Like I say, the one guy, he's telling Mark Ruffalo that, like, to not worry about this shit they're supposed to have, and like that nobody's burying nothing, so you're looking at him funny. Then Rachel McAdams finds some shit, and she's like, hey, we put out an article about this shit, how many years ago, and Michael Keaton just kind of dismisses it. He's like, yeah, anything else? All right, good night, like. So you're looking at people side-eyed through this whole shit. You're wondering like who's really getting in the way of the truth. But I bring that up because, like I say, at the end of the movie, he decides that he didn't want to publish the story yet because he's like, I can get somebody who works on the, who's within their organization to confirm this shit. And so he goes to this motherfucker house who was like involved with the church, heavily, and he gives him a list of names. He's like, I need confirmation about this shit. And it's basically at Christmas time, you're seeing Mark Ruffalo in a church with a whole bunch of, kids singing carols, and you can hear that shit in the background. And then you're seeing different shit happening for different characters and whatnot. The story is being typed up. It's basically the climax pause of the movie. And so the shit, he ends up like basically telling him to fuck off. He was like, man, you're gonna come here and like ask me for it, get the fuck out of my house, you know. And he comes back. He's like, yeah, I probably knew some shit that was going on. I helped, do all this shit. He's like, but if we all knew about it, where were you? And that was like a real good point because like if everybody was suspicious of some shit, why are you standing up for the truth now? I think that that's a very like fair point because often I feel like in the world people turn a blind eye to the injustices that exist simply because it's not their problem, or like for whatever reason they may be, and then later on have an outrage or an attempt to like make things right, uh partially due to guilt, honestly. That's my opinion. But he ends up getting the fucking list confirmed and whatnot. Like they had what 70 fucking 73 priests or some shit. Like it was a crazy amount of priests that they had found that are
It,
just
it
being
it was a disgusting amount. Let's put it that way.
cycled. Oh yeah, and then Mark Ruffalo character is talking to this dude throughout the movie where like he was a fucking doctor over there at the mental institute or whatever they call the rehabilitation facility, basically, that like they got sent to, and he has all this information on these people. That's how they're able to find this shit because motherfuckers are being put down as leave of absence or on sick leave, on vacation, different classifications where like it's just, I don't know, man. That shit is sick. But
As fuck. As fuck. That yeah, no. When they like another scene that I would like to highlight when they were like cutting numbers and whatnot, and we're trying to find out like how many I guess like an estimate, a rough estimate of how many were involved in sexual activity like that, or sexual misconduct I should say, right? And they figured out it was like close to 90. Yeah, no, that was wild.
yeah,
That was
because
wild as
like that
shit.
shit was like an estimate. What do you say, like 5% or some shit? Like it was, it
Six
was.
6%, 6%.
Yeah, like it's like 6% of motherfuckers. Like think about how much 6% is of anything, bro. There are 8 billion people in the fucking world right now, bro. 6% of that is absolutely insane. That is, a little over 1/20th of the entire population of religious figures and whatnot are sexual deviants, bro. Like if you found out, you was finna like go into a spot and whatnot, as a regular civilian, if you found out that 6% of the people within this crowded fucking event that you're finna go to are rapists or murderers or whatever, like you not finna take that chance, bro.
No, not at
Like
all.
I
Not at
don't.
all.
That is just an absolutely insane statistic. A lot of this shit too. I looked up. Like this is not technically a fully true story. It is, based off a series of stories and whatnot, and they are based loosely off true events that happened. Like all this shit really happened, but it is not. It's dramatized for the viewing public. Um, so I think that that's like I think that often documentaries or based off true event movies, they struggle with their source material, and especially with something like this where it's not action based and whatnot. It's a drama. It is a drama, type of biopic or whatever, where you have to maintain people's attention through character work rather than scenes of action or comedy or romance and whatever. Like, you have to maintain that type of shit. I think that this was well executed for that, honestly. um I don't know, do you have many other things that you want to discuss about this movie?
Um, the probably the final scene. The final scene when what the hell was his name?
Robbie?
What? No, Baron. When he was
Oh,
like, "Oh, I thought that was actually kind of pretty dope, man." Like he actually condemned the group for not condemned. He actually gave the group their props for all the hard work that they did. He said such a dope line, man. He was like, "Oh, I know some of y'all can take a minute, because y'all deserve it." Or I'm butchering the whole line, but he said something along the lines of that. And then he's like, "But in the morning, I expect y'all to come ready, uh, and do your job." And that was essentially when they were about to break the story, make that shit
yeah.
live in public.
and
That was dope. That was really dope to
And
me.
we find out that like Robbie was the reason that the story got buried initially,
In
for
the
whatever
first
the
place, yeah.
reason may be. He put out like a little bullshit article. He says he doesn't remember it or whatever, but like he was the reason that a lot of these facts and things got lost that probably could have made this a big deal, before. So like he admits to the whole team that shit and basically kind of like is feeling a little bit sorry for himself. You know what I'm saying? He's out there like talking about, yeah, I don't remember it or whatever, but I'm the reason that this shit happened to these folks. And that's what I think that is like the cold line that like boils down to. I don't remember the line, even to try to butcher it, but it is something to the effect of whenever light is shed upon it, like shed upon something that is dark, there's often a lot of blame to go around, but not as much. Like, people don't focus on the credit to go around. So that, like, I think that that is kind of like a good moral to the story, where it's like, you're not just absolved from your part in it, but don't let the negative overwhelm the positive thing you've tried to do. Uh, so I think that that's like a really good moral to the story. They break the story, and they have the phone set up to where like they're gonna be getting calls and shit. So they come in the next day, and there's nothing. There's nobody there. They get there early and shit. The receptionist, she's like, I've had like two calls, and I transferred them down there to y'all. And they were like, okay, they go down there. All the phones are ringing off the hook. There's a couple of people already in there, and Mark Ruffalo and Michael Keaton, they have to go to their own phones, where they're saying that a majority of them are victims calling in. It's a speaking out type of movement, um, where once the one domino falls, everything else begins to fall into place. So I think that that's like a real cold resolution to the story, to end there. That basically all this shit was successful. Like I say, during the credits, they talk about like all the different places that people have, like, they've uncovered cover up stories within the Catholic Church. And it is, across America. There's shit, globally, internationally, places that they're finding this shit. Um, they talk about like one specific, person that happened to them. They ended up getting moved to the fucking like the one of the highest ranking churches within the Catholic Church after this shit happened to them. So there's a possibility and there's a high likelihood that this type of shit still happens today. But I don't know, like, it's such a common, and I'd hate to say meme because it tries to lessen the impact of what happened, but like, it's such a common trope that people say where, oh, the Catholic Church molests kids and such and such. And I don't feel like that was always a thing. Like, I don't feel like that was a thing 20 years ago. I feel like the impact of this shit is, that it's such commonplace knowledge and fucking, just a thing that people run with at this point. Like, I'd say irreparable damage, but that makes it sound like it's a bad thing that it happened. I just think that it's had such a long lasting impact on all this shit. So I think that just the fact that that is so universally known in pop culture today is a testament to the things that inspired this movie.
Agreed.
You have anything else, F Dub, before we get to the final thoughts and ratings?
No, man, I think we covered it, all bases, to be honest. That's really it, man.
Shout out Black Roots, man, in the building and shit. Roots, man, you got to get back up on these episodes, man. We finna pick the next movie here in a minute.
What are roots?
Um, F Dub, man, you want to go first since it's your movie?
Yeah, I'll definitely go first. All right. Spotlight, man. Crazy film. Definitely it was hard to follow at times. I'm not gonna lie to you. And I definitely was distracted a couple of times while watching this. But it's a testament to the film. Not saying that it's bad or anything like that. It's definitely a film where you do gotta definitely keep your eye on it. Definitely pay attention to everything, because I feel like if you miss your spot, you're gonna have to definitely rewind that. And I couldn't imagine watching this like in theaters live. You feel me? I feel like I definitely would have got lost here and there. Um, so thank God we have the ability to replay and rewind and whatnot. Because I definitely had to do that a couple times, just in case I'd missed something. So I think all the actors played their roles very well. I agree. I think Mark Ruffalo pretty much took the, he took the show over, man. Yeah, show stealer in this movie for sure. Michael Keaton's character probably came in second for me. Um, yeah, so definitely the two standouts and highlights for me in this film. Uh, was it my favorite film in the world? No, not really. Um, Subject matter was kind of wild, not gonna lie to you. Definitely was surprising a little bit. And some of the scenes were definitely kind of, yeah. Not even gonna talk about that shit no more. But overall, I like the film. Would I go back to this? Not for probably not, to be honest. I think this was for me. This was like a one-time type of watch, just to see what all the hype was about in 2015. Because, like I mentioned, this movie definitely did its numbers and definitely won a couple awards. And to some people, it was one of them ones. You feel me? So, I give this film a solid 7 out of 10.
I was gonna ask you if it had won, like what kind of awards it won. I assume some shit from the Academy and whatnot. Um,
I'll
but
look it up right now while you're giving your thoughts.
that's fine. Like I say, I mean, I was like, I didn't know anything about it. Slim and like Pujols and them made some jokes about it. I didn't bother going to look it up until I was finna watch it and shit. So I was like, fuck it, I got some time. I throw this bitch on the TV, whatever. And the website that I watch this shit on, they got descriptions and whatnot at the bottom. So I'm reading the description before this shit starts. I said, hey, hey, man, what the fuck? I was like, hey, fireworks, man, what the fuck you got me watching? It's like this fucking like, bro. This is some type of shit. Like just the combination of everything is some shit I would never watch, bro. Like this shit, I don't want to. I like, and I'm the guy who picked A Time to Kill. It's not just about like the fucking, the. It's all of it together, bro. Like it sounds like a boring premise with some subject matter that I don't want to hear about. Through this, however, we talked about four people who had great portrayals of their character. They had a great structure to this plot where, yes, there is one overarching theme, but there's more so like there's small little, trails you follow to get to different things, that you find out along the way. There's memorable moments, there's, good cast work, and for a movie with such a dark tone, I think it ends on a bright note. And I think that that's a good thing. Is that like all this shit that happens? Like, if this is based in real life, the world is a fucked up and evil place. You feel me? So often with these types of things, it ends on, well, this shit is fucked up, and that's just how the world works. oh well, you went on this journey though. But here it kind of feels like, everything wasn't solved. We know we live in this world, but there was some positive shit that came of this journey that we went on. I like this shit a lot more than I expected it to. I would probably rewatch it again at some point, but I would rewatch it with like people. I don't think I would just put this shit on because I want to watch it, but like I would try to put some people onto this shit, and I would watch it with them. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, I was watching this shit with my girl, and like she was interested throughout this bitch too. So like I would definitely watch this with a bitch. It just if you watch this with a bitch, make sure that you have some good talking points to be had. Like, this ain't one of them like things where Slim watch a rape movie with a hoe. You know what I'm saying? Like this shit right here got some talking points, man. There's a reason for it. But with that being said, bro, I think I gave the same score to the last week's movie, which is kind of funny, honestly. But I think I'll probably get this like an 8.5, man. I think it's a solid ass movie. You know what I'm saying? With some good ass like acting in it and whatnot. I think there's some things that could be better for my personal taste, but I understand why people fucked with this movie. That averages out to a 7.75, I believe. You know what I'm saying? Rounded up to a 7.8. Uh, so that shit, you know, that's a solid fucking score for a movie. I feel like, we didn't. I didn't end up saying the score last week, but it was somewhere roughly around there.
Yeah, so like you already know, like with my picks, I try to
Hey, Ruth, I ain't
pick
holding,
different.
man. He did that shit, bro. Like he got to stand on that.
With these films, you feel me? I try to pick something different, something that will make y'all think, you feel me? And I think I did that with this week, you feel me? Even though like, we weren't expecting
I'll
this
tell you
crazy
one thing,
subject
F
matter.
Dub. You
So
got like probably one of the most interesting collections of movies, man. You picked this shit. You picked what The Village. You picked Grand Budapest Hotel. You know what I'm saying? Like you be having some unique joints.
yeah, it's too bad the scores that at the end of the reviews don't really reflect that. But it is what it is, you feel me? I ain't really it's not necessarily a competition to get the highest score or whatever. But like I said, I just try to pick different type of films every time, you feel me? So and that'll probably happen again and again and again. Well, I'm gonna continue the theme. But as far as the awards this film got, well, it got nominated for 134 awards, and it
God
won a total
damn.
of six. It won 69 of them. So little over half.
69.
Crazy. Yeah, crazy number. But yeah, it won some notable ones. Let's see. It won two Academy Awards. It was nominated for six and it won two of them. So, there's that. It won, let's see, it got nominated for three Golden Globe Awards, but it didn't win any, unfortunately. So there's that and a bunch of other
Nominations
shit.
are important, bro. As much as people like to, you know what I'm saying? Like out of all the thousands of films that get released every year, like
Yeah, so if it definitely got nominated for that many awards, then it's right to say that it was definitely one of them ones back in 2015. So salute to this movie, you feel me? It made 98.7 it grossed 98.7 million worldwide on a budget of 20 million. So
so that's a pretty decent success. You almost made 5 times what you spent.
yeah, yeah.
All right,
So
so I got the next movie, man. We'll see who wants to pull up to this shit. If not, like I'm probably still try to run this whole Friday. I ain't gonna lie to you. We'll have a couple days. Like we'll see though. The irony in what I said earlier, like, cause I was like, okay, I gotta pick a movie. I can't pick a comedy. I just picked a comedy last time. So I was like, let me figure out what I want to do. And I like ran down some picks and I was like, fuck it. I got an idea. So we're going to go back to 2009, man. We're about to embark on, yet another detective movie. Some might argue the greatest detective movie.
uh-oh. Uh-oh.
So we're going to go back to 2009 and we're going to watch Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, hell yeah. Let's go. I
We're
know
going to
what this is.
watch Jude Law. And
Hell yeah.
ironically enough, we're going to watch Rachel McAdams.
Hell yeah.
We got Sherlock Holmes, man, 2009. You know what I'm saying? Big detective shit, motherfucker, British as fuck. You know what I'm saying? He finna find out why some evil shit. You know, the game is afoot, man. So y'all join us whenever the fuck we get to. Hopefully Friday. You know what I'm saying? Well, Roots, if you just watched that hoe, you should be at the podcast, man. You can rewatch if you want, but I know you still remember this hoe. So yeah, next week or this week hopefully, Sherlock Holmes, man, 2009, and we're gonna continue the road to 100 episodes, man. Y'all like, comment, subscribe if y'all ain't already, man. Y'all go fuck with the shit that we've been doing. We slowed up a little bit, but we getting back in our baggy bag. You know what I'm saying? It's scary season. Hopefully we're gonna have some more scary content coming for y'all, man. Real Rap Coalition podcast signing out, man.
We out of here, man. Salute to y'all for joining us, man. Main character energy in this